Today is day one of the trial for 4 men federally accused of plotting to kidnap the governor. Step 1, picking the jury that will decide their fate. Our Doug Reardon is live at the courthouse for the first day of what we expect to be a weeks-long trial.
Yeah, good morning to you, Rob. Of course, this trial has been a long time coming. It's been delayed a number of times for several different reasons, but it all begins today, just a couple of hours ago, with the selection of an impartial jury to decide the fate of these 4 men facing trial. So we've seen potential jurors filing in all day by the dozens, and dozen will be the number that these defense and prosecuting attorneys will need to get this down to. 12 men and women to serve on the jury and 6 alternates. And of course, this is a very difficult case to seat a jury for. It's very high profile, it's very highly politicized, and there's a lot of evidence out there already. We have videos and pictures of the group of accused men training and displaying weapons. The judge did take some time today to explain the case and the charges to these batches of potential jurors that are coming into the courtroom. And as we mentioned, this is a highly politicized case as well, be it that the governor is one of the people involved. The judge asked people to set aside their views on her and on politics in general, and to be honest with themselves about being able to remain impartial. So here's how it works. Prosecutors get to say no for any reason to 10 juror candidates, and under those same guises as defense, they also get to strike 16 jurors and 3 alternates, again, for any reason at all. We talked to Tracy Brame this week. She's an associate dean at Cooley Law School about this balancing act that both sides have to play.
Politics aside, what you really want, whether you're the prosecution, defense, or certainly the judge, is that you want someone who will listen to the particular facts of the case, right? Because no matter what the overarching themes are, they're real people who are facing criminal charges, and deserve, a fair shake. And of course, it's not a perfect process. You can't get to know someone, over the course of the short time of jury selection, but they do try.
And the defendants were here in the building today. They were being housed in Newaygo County, but they are here to watch this jury selection process play out. We do expect this particular part of the process to take the first few days here at the federal court of this entire thing. So we will see you back here for more coverage tonight at 4, 5, and 6. But for now, in downtown Grand Rapids, Doug Reardon, Fox 17 News.
So let's check in with meteorologist Candace Monticelli for a midday check of the forecast, which is rather quiet.
Yes, quiet and calm, just the way we like it for the middle of this week. It is a bit cold out there, but pretty close to seasonable for where we should be this time of year. And we're seeing more and more sunshine appears. A little bit of cloud cover this morning, especially along and south of I-96. And we're continuing to see that break up and have more sunshine present throughout the rest of your day. Temperatures now all in the 30s. We do have a little bit of a breeze out there, and that will make some of you feel like we are in the 20s. So a little bit of that wind chill factor that we will continue to deal with for the rest of the day. But there's those calm and quiet conditions on satellite radar, high pressure nearby, allowing some of that break in the cloud cover. And this will stand true for the next couple of days, as our next snow chance doesn't arrive until Thursday overnight into Friday. So we have a couple days to sit back, relax, and enjoy some sunshine, even though we're a little bit on the cooler side. Temperatures today only in the upper 30s, that breeze making us feel like we are in the 20s and just having to enjoy that sun. Coming up though in the full 7-day, we're going to break down the exact timing of the arrival of that snow, talk about how much we expect in just a bit.
The war in Ukraine continues to have repercussions here at home. Gas prices shot up 10 cents overnight and reached a new record for the U.S. Oil is part of the debate in Washington over how to react to Russian aggression in Ukraine. President Biden is expected to announce a ban on importing Russian oil. Doug Lazader has more this midday from Capitol Hill.
Well, there is a push here to gain more leverage on Russia as the situation in Ukraine gets worse each day. A massive fire at an oil depot in Ukraine. Many Ukrainians are still desperate to escape the latest Russian attacks and are skeptical of Russian promises of humanitarian corridors. A defiant Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's still working in his office. And again, he called on the Biden administration to step up support.
I don't hide, and I'm not afraid of anyone.
Back in Washington, protesters installed a Zelensky Way sign on the road outside the Russian embassy. But many Americans are looking at other signs, showing gas prices on the rise.
Normally come here and it's about like $4.30, and now it's like $1 up. I might not be able to eat lunch for the rest of the week.
AAA says gas prices have shot up again overnight, now setting a new U.S. record with the average price of regular topping $4.17 a gallon. Although a new poll shows 71% of Americans would be willing to pay even more to cut off Russian oil imports. And in fact, there is now a bipartisan deal in Congress to cut off Russian energy imports. In Washington, I'm Doug Luzader for Fox 17 Midday.
And gas prices continue to climb here in West Michigan. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of gas is $4.18 in Kent County, $4.20 in Ottawa County, $4.15 in Kalamazoo County, and $4.20 in Muskegon County. AAA also issued tips to maximize your fuel economy. It helps to plan your trips ahead of time and avoid peak travel times, and combine your errands. Also avoid excessive idling and avoid rapid acceleration or hard braking. Use the cruise control when you can, and get and clear out the extra stuff in your vehicle's interior and trunk. The added weight there can affect your mileage. To track gas prices near you, you can use the Gas Buddy app or go to gasbuddy.com. As we mentioned, President Biden is expected to speak really at any minute. We will bring you his remarks right here on Fox 17 as soon as they happen. A man and a woman from West Michigan have pleaded guilty to a federal human trafficking charge. 52-year-old Robert Grigsby of Wayland and 40-year-old Vanessa Phillips of Grand Rapids were charged last year for conducting a criminal enterprise of prostitution and sex trafficking involving a number of women in Grigsby's home, as well as throughout the Grand Rapids area. Wayland police began investigating this case 4 years ago and uncovered evidence of commercial sexual activity as well as illegal activities where both individuals were profiting. They will each face jail time in connection with the charge. Grigsby was sentenced yesterday to 57 months to 15 years in prison. Phillips will be sentenced on March 28th. It's 11:08, still to come on Fox 17 Midday. The price of cars rising during the entire pandemic, but some reports say the price of used cars might be dropping. We'll have the numbers.
And that sunshine is back. Temperatures in the upper 30s, really close to seasonable, where we should be for this time in March. But the snow will also be back as well. We're going to time it out for you coming up in my full 7 day.
This disease is so isolating and can feel really lonely when your pain isn't taken seriously.
You may not know it, but it's likely there's a woman you know who is living with endometriosis. We will look at the affliction that affects 1 in 10 women. Endometriosis is a disease that causes tissue which is supposed to be inside a woman's uterus to grow outside of it. It's estimated 1 in 10 women suffer from the disease, which means there's a good chance you know a woman who suffers from it. It can be isolating. It can cause infertility issues and cause pain so severe that women often miss work or school. And what's more, it can be challenging to diagnose. One Grand Rapids woman waited years for answers, and now she opens up about getting her life back. Fox 17's Tessa DiTiro reports.
Taylor Ballock shares these photos of her medical journey on her Instagram feed. It started with extremely painful periods in 6th grade.
Because when I did have my period, I was throwing up, just really sick. Couldn't get comfortable, had to be laying down. I played sports and I would need to sit out. It was just horrible pain.
With symptoms like severe pain, cramping, and nausea, Taylor, like many other women, visited doctor after doctor, exhausted with no answers.
Many patients will suffer for symptoms for 8 to 10 years, they think, before getting an actual diagnosis.
My doctor, Elizabeth Leary at Spectrum Health, is the first person who looked me in the eye when I told her my symptoms and said, "I believe you."
10 years later, Taylor has some validation. Her pain is endometriosis.
Would you say you're feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. I feel like I'm getting my life back.
Dr. Lally says it's not known why some women have the disease and others don't. It's often hereditary, and you can have it and not even know it. If you are suffering, Dr. Lally says try to find a gynecologist who will listen.
Your period shouldn't make you miss school. It shouldn't make you miss work. And if your pain is that severe where you really can't do your normal activities, then that's definitely something that should be evaluated.
With her diagnosis, Taylor feels happier and healthier on new medication. And she's finally able to start planning for a family with her husband.
That's something I see for my future, for my husband and I. Like, we want kids, and I just never thought that that was something I could do on my own.
Tessa DeTiro reporting. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. Taylor is sharing her story so other women will know that they are not alone. Other women are encouraged to share as well. Now, there's no cure for endometriosis, but there are a number of options for treatment. We have those resources online at fox17online.com.
All right, West Michigan, that sunshine is back today. You can see it as we started off the day with a little bit of cloud cover, but now that cloud cover is breaking up, and we're going to continue to have all that sunshine through the afternoon and early evening hours. Still got to bundle up, though. Temperatures in the 30s all across the board as we put in a little bit of a light wind profile, and then that makes us feel like we are in the 20s. Still a bit chilly out there, but temperatures for the day will end up being really close to seasonable for where we should be temperature-wise at this point in March. Dry and quiet on satellite and radar. We do have high pressure nearby, allowing us to have this really calm and comfortable middle of the week to sit back, relax, and wait on the next time we have some snowfall arriving, which we'll get to in a moment. Today, though, 38 degrees, all of that sunshine for the afternoon that we can soak up and enjoy. And then this evening, we'll continue with this mix of cloud cover. So mostly clear, partly cloudy, temperatures then dipping back to the mid-20s. Now, for the next couple of days, we're going to remain with this mix of sun and clouds. We do have a frontal system coming through tomorrow, but it's really moisture starved. So there's not going to be a whole lot there, and we'll stay dry and quiet. On Thursday, though, we're going to increase our cloud cover leading into this next system that brings us that snowfall Thursday overnight into Friday. It's also going to bring us some colder temperatures. So look at this. This is the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can see that colder blues and purples, all that coloring starting to push into West Michigan on Friday when we have that snowfall. And then even colder air wraps around behind this system, giving us our coldest day on Saturday. But don't worry, it's not going to stick around for long. By Sunday, we start to moderate those temperatures again, leading it towards the end of the weekend and early next week. So let's take a look at that super 7-day forecast for you. Here's the first couple of days, 38 today, 39 tomorrow. We should be about 41 degrees for a daytime high this time of year. So pretty close, not that bad. 38 degrees then on Thursday when we start to see this snow work into Friday morning. So let's break this down hour by hour still on Future Track. As this system goes by to our southeast, it'll bring us some of that snow. I'm thinking a couple inches, even less than that, lighter system altogether, which will pinpoint down numbers as we get closer. But behind this system, that colder air will wrap around. We can have some lake effect snow showers on Saturday, and Saturday then being our coldest day of the weekend. So 34 degrees on Friday, 26 on Saturday. Look where we're headed, though, temperature-wise. You just got to make it through springing forward with our clocks throughout the weekend. So something to remember, try to catch up on some sleep. Always a challenge to deal with. But by Sunday, we'll be 36 degrees. Come Monday, we're talking 46, so a good 10-degree increase each and every day after that cold snap on Saturday and that snow for the end of this work week.
A group of attorneys general in several states across the country have opened an investigation into whether the video sharing platform TikTok is harmful for kids. An investigation last year looked into Instagram for similar concerns. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on the concerns and what parents need to know to keep kids safe.
Social media in the spotlight once again. An investigation into TikTok follows a similar one launched in November by a group of state attorneys general and whether these platforms are harmful to children.
It's really a wake-up call, the power of social media on such a young population.
Dr. Mohammed Al-Dasari, director of the Center for Pediatric Neurosciences at Cleveland Clinic, says social media can affect children's mental health and may even cause or worsen stress and anxiety.
These young minds are very suggestible. They're very vulnerable to these exposures.
Al-Dasari says parents and kids need to be aware of potential dangers. If a child is already suffering from a mental health issue like depression or anxiety, there's a higher risk of adverse effects of social media. Consider limiting exposure, and parents should talk to kids about what they're seeing online.
I think it's something that we really have to address for the well-being and the safety of the young generation.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Prices for used cars might be leveling out. Reports show used vehicle prices dropping 2.1% from January to February. But economists say this drop does not bring prices to where they were a year ago, but indicates the industry is changing. Pre-owned cars continue to sell for historically high prices. The main reasons: the continuing chip shortage and the limited availability of new cars on the dealers' lots. As global instability continues, retirement accounts are also facing instability. Public and private pensions and other retirement funds are heavily invested in stocks, and as a result, many accounts have begun to lose money in the last few weeks. The nation's largest pension fund has reported a loss of $7 billion since the end of January. Stocks in general have been on a downward turn since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war. It's 11:20, coming up on Fox 17 Midday. A conference teaching students in West Michigan to be better leaders while supporting each other. We'll have that story next. The last few years have been hard on students as they deal with issues from remote learning due to COVID to concerns about safety in schools. Several school districts in West Michigan have come together to be proactive in taking care of their students. The Grant Public School District held the Newaygo County Student Symposium to teach hundreds of students ways to become better leaders while supporting each other. Candace Monticelli shows us how it works.
Each school in Newaygo County, plus a few in Kent County, came together for the symposium to learn how to build each other up after going through years of difficulties with COVID restrictions and school safety concerns.
What we're really trying to do is get ahead of the curve a little bit in a different way and have some leadership experts from around not only the state of Michigan, but from around the country coming in to talk today and empower our students and lift them up and how to reach every one of our students in our school system.
The program is designed with 4 speakers empowering students to lift each other up and show them how to be great leaders for everyone.
I hope they walk away feeling better in their hearts and more connected with each other, whether they are from the same school or not. That's number one. And number two, I hope that they walk away with some idea of how they can make somebody else's day who wasn't here just a little bit more connected and a little bit more safe and a little bit more or less lonely.
Around 200 students learned to be proactive, to come together and be a team for everyone in their school district and day-to-day lives.
You know, I think it's just really important to understand how to be a better leader. You know, I don't think that coming into here, everybody knows how to be a leader.
It definitely will help me a lot personally and in my role here and in future roles as I, excel, go to college, workforce, whatever I do.
That was Candace Monticelli reporting. These students and school districts plan to keep the conversation going now after this symposium and to keep learning to all become better leaders. So it's now 11:25, still ahead on Fox 17 Midday. A candidate for an open seat in the Michigan House making headlines for controversial comments on rape. We'll have a reaction from those in his own party.
Both those still in Ukraine and those who have fled safely to a neighboring country. We're working with humanitarian organizations to surge tens of thousands of tons of food, water, and medical supplies into Ukraine, and with more on the way. Over the weekend, I sent Secretary Blinken to visit the border between Poland and Ukraine and to Moldova to see what the situation was firsthand and report back. General Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of our Defense Department, is also what was also in Europe, meeting with his counterparts and allies on NATO's eastern flank to reassure them, those countries bordering Russia, NATO countries, that we will keep our NATO commitment, a sacred commitment of Article 5. The Vice President Harris is going to be traveling to meet with our allies in Poland and Romania later this week as well. I've made it clear that the United States will share in the responsibility of caring for the refugees so the costs do not fall entirely on the European countries bordering Ukraine. And yesterday I spoke with my counterparts in France, Germany, and the United Kingdom about Russia's escalating violence against Ukraine and the steps that we're going to take together with our allies and partners around the world to respond to this aggression. We are enforcing the most significant package of economic sanctions in history, and it's causing significant damage to Russia's economy. It has caused Russian economy to, frankly, crater. The Russian ruble is now down to 50%, by 50% since Putin's announced his war. 1 ruble is now worth less than 1 American penny. 1 ruble is less than 1 American penny. And preventing Russia's central bank from propping up the ruble and to keep its value up. They're not going to be able to do that now. We cut Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, and it has crippled their ability to do business with the rest of the world. In addition, we're choking off Russia's access to technology like semiconductors that are and sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Major companies are pulling out of Russia entirely without even being asked, not by us. Over the weekend, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they all suspended their services in Russia, all of them, joining a growing list of American and global companies from Ford to Nike to Apple. They've suspended their operations in Russia. The U.S. Stock Exchange has halted trading of many Russian securities. And the private sector is united against Russia's vicious war of choice. The U.S. Department of Justice has assembled a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of Russian oligarchs. And we're joining with our European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets, and all their ill-begotten gains to make sure that they share in the pain of Putin's war. These, by the way, are giant yachts. You've put some of them in your press. I mean, some of them are, I think I read one was over 400 feet long. I mean, this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The decision today is not without cost here at home. Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump. Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of the gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home. In coordination with our partners, we've already announced that we're releasing 60 million barrels of oil from our joint oil reserves. Half of that, 30 million, is coming from the United States. And we're taking steps to ensure the reliable supply of global energy. We're also going to keep working with every tool at our disposal to protect American families and businesses. Now, let me say this. To the oil and gas companies and to the finance firms that back them, we understand Putin's war against the people of Ukraine is causing prices to rise. We get that. That's self-evident. But, it's no excuse to exercise excessive price increases or padding profits or any kind of effort to exploit this situation or American consumers, exploit them. Russia's aggression is costing us all, and it's no time for profiteering or price gouging. I want to be clear about what we'll not tolerate, but I also want to acknowledge those firms and oil and gas industries that are pulling out of Russia and joining other businesses that are leading by example. This is a time when we have to do our part and make sure we're not taking advantage. Look, let me be clear about 2 other points. First, it's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. That's simply not true. Even amid the pandemic, companies in the United States pumped more oil during my first year in office than they did during my predecessor's first year. We're approaching a record levels of oil and gas production in the United States, and we're on track to set a record of oil production next year. In the United States, 90% of onshore oil production takes place on land that isn't owned by the federal government. And of the remaining 10% that occurs on federal land, the oil and gas industry has millions of acres leased. They have 9,000 permits to drill now. They could be drilling right now, yesterday, last week, last year. They have 9,000 to drill onshore that are already approved. So let me be clear. Let me be clear. They are not using them for production now. That's their decision. These are the facts. We should be honest about the facts. Second, this crisis is a stark reminder to protect our economy over the long term, we need to become energy independent. I've had numerous conversations over the last 3 months with our European friends of how they have to wean themselves off of Russian oil. It's just not tenable. It should motivate us to accelerate the transition to clean energy. This is a perspective that our European allies share, and a future where together we can achieve greater independence. Loosening environmental regulations or pulling back clean energy investment will not lower energy prices for families. But transforming our economy to run on electric vehicles powered by clean energy with tax credits to help American families winterize their homes and use less energy, that will help. And if we do what we can, it will mean that no one has to worry about the price of the gas pump in the future. That'll mean tyrants like Putin won't be able to use fossil fuels as weapons against other nations. And it will make America a world leader, manufacturing and exporting clean energy technologies of the future to countries all around the world. This is the goal we should be racing toward. Over the last 2 weeks, the Ukrainian people have inspired the world, and I mean that in a literal sense. They've inspired the world with their bravery, their patriotism, their defiant determination to live free. Putin's war has caused enormous suffering and needless loss of life of women, children, everyone in Ukraine. Both Ukraine and, I might add, Russians. Ukrainian leaders, as well as leaders around the world, have repeatedly called for a ceasefire, for humanitarian relief, for real diplomacy. But Putin seems determined to continue on his murderous path, no matter the cost. Putin's now targeting cities and has been targeting cities and civilians, schools, hospitals, apartment buildings. Last week, he attacked the largest nuclear power plant in Europe with an apparent disregard for the potential of triggering a nuclear meltdown. He has already turned 2 million Ukrainians into refugees. Russia may continue to grind out its advance at a horrible price, but this much is already clear. Ukraine will never be a victory for Putin. Putin may be able to take a city, but he'll never be able to hold the country. And if we do not respond to Putin's assault on global peace and stability today, the cost of freedom and to the American people will be even greater tomorrow. So we're going to continue to support the brave Ukrainian people as they fight for their country. And I call on Congress to pass the $12 billion Ukraine assistance package that I have asked them for of late. Ukrainian people are demonstrating by their physical courage that they are not about to just let Putin take what he wants. That's clear. They'll defend their freedom, their democracy, their lives. And we're going to keep providing security assistance, economic assistance, and humanitarian assistance. We're going to support them against tyranny, oppression, violent acts of subjugation. People everywhere, and I think it's maybe even surprised some of you all, people everywhere are speaking up for freedom. And when the history of this war is written, Putin's war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. May God bless all those heroes in Ukraine. And now I'm off to Texas. Thank you very, very much. I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of questions, but there's a lot more that has to be made clear, and I'm going to hold on that until we get more information. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was President Biden speaking. He is in his reporting oil, and he says he hopes it will inflict more pain on Vladimir Putin.
All right, West Michigan, a beautiful day for your Tuesday. Plenty of sunshine as we take a look at our weather headlines. Dry and quiet now through Thursday, so we really get to settle in and relax for the rest of the week until our next snow chance arrives Thursday evening into Friday. Temperature-wise, we're in the 30s, but we have a little bit of a light wind out there, so it makes us feel like we are in the 20s. A little bit of a chill, even with that sunshine. Dry and quiet, though, on satellite and radar with high pressure nearby, which will keep us with this mix of sun and clouds for the next couple of days. Even though we have a moisture-starved system coming through tomorrow, we're still going to stay dry and quiet with some of that sun. So that mix of cloud cover and sunshine, 38 degrees. It's as good as you get for the day. Just a few degrees below average for where we should be temperature-wise at this point in March. Coming up, though, my full 7-day, we're going to talk about that snowfall that arrives later in the week.
You know, having 3 daughters, and I tell my daughters, well, if rape is inevitable, you should just lie back and enjoy it. So
that comment has created some heat for the GOP nominee for the open State House seat in Kent County. Robert R.J. Regan is facing Walker City Commissioner Carol Glanville in the May special election. And Glanville and some Republicans are talking about those Reagan comments. Regan's latest comment regarding rape is one of a number of controversial statements he's made, both in interviews and on social media. He has posted about the pandemic being fake and questioned whether Russia was actually attacking Ukraine, among other things. The conservative Michigan Freedom Fund said Regan is unworthy to serve, imploring West Michiganders to reject him at the ballot box, saying his recent comments were despicable and disqualifying. The Democrat he's facing this spring, Carol Glanville, had this to say.
The most important thing we need to do is really just make sure voters know that this election is happening on May 3rd. And regardless of where you are, right or left, you have a choice. You have a choice for a candidate that is going to represent this part of the state well.
The winner of the special election will serve 8 months in the state legislature and then run again for a full term in the newly drawn district. Both candidates have made it clear that they will run again for the full term. We have more on this race at fox17online.com. A judge has declined to reinstate a tenured professor at Ferris State University who was suspended. In January, Barry Mailer posted a profanity-filled video on his way to welcome students to his class in the new semester. Mailer said his free speech rights were violated when he was barred from teaching his history classes while the school investigated his actions. But federal judge Jane Beckering on Monday turned down his request for a preliminary injunction. Mailer has said his 14-minute video was simply a performance to get his students' juices flowing. He used profanities and made a sexual reference as he rattled on about his attendance policy, grades, plagiarism, and COVID-19. It's 11:41. We will be right back.